All right, today we're diving deep into a marketing philosophy that literally blew up the old way of doing things. So get ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about advertising. But first, hey, if you're ready for this, do me a favor and hit that like button. And make sure you're subscribed for more of these game-changing ideas.
So let's just start with this bombshell of a statement, shall we? This isn't just some hot take from a random guy on the internet. This is from Sergio Zyman, the absolute marketing genius who took Coca-Cola's value from $40 billion with a B to a mind-blowing $160 billion. And his whole argument? That the very foundation of marketing as we knew it was basically a lie.
So what was this big lie? Well, Zeman's whole point was that for decades, marketing got away with hiding behind this veil of mystery. It was treated like some kind of dark art that you couldn't possibly measure or understand.
Yeah, he called them wizards, these marketers who would just wave their hands and talk about vague concepts like brand awareness. And because of this, marketing got treated like a fluffy, feel-good expense, a nice to have. And what happens to the nice to haves when it's time to cut the budget? Yeah, they're the first to go.
Zyman's whole philosophy was a complete 180, and this slide really nails that shift. Over on the left, you've got the old school way of thinking. Marketing is an art, it's about image, it's a mysterious expense. But on the right, that's Zyman's world. Marketing is a hard science, a measurable investment, and it is laser-focused on one thing and one thing only: results.
Okay, so if marketing isn't about creating some fuzzy vibe or brand awareness, then what is its real job? Zyman's answer is so simple, it's almost brutal. For some people, it's actually terrifying.
This right here was Zyman's mantra, his gospel. Every single marketing activity, I'm talking everything from a multi-million-dollar Super Bowl ad all the way down to the color of a bottle cap, had to answer one simple question: does this help sell more stuff? If the answer was no, then it was a complete and utter waste of time and money, period.
So you might be thinking, okay, but what about those ads that become cultural touchstones, the ones everybody just loves and talks about? Well, let's take one of the most famous commercials of all time, Coca-Cola's Mean Joe Green ad, an absolute classic.
Hard to believe, right? But Zyman himself pulled the plug on this beloved, iconic ad. Why? You guessed it. Because for as much as people loved it, it wasn't actually moving the needle. It wasn't selling more Coke. And in Zyman's world, if it doesn't sell, it's a failure. It's that simple. And here's the proof in the pudding. This is what happens when you have that kind of ruthless focus. When Zyman brought this data-driven, results-only approach back to Coca-Cola, the company's value absolutely skyrocketed, from $40 billion to $160 billion. That's not luck. That's proof that the system works.
And this really gets to the absolute heart of Zyman's philosophy. Marketing is a science, plain and simple, not an art, and it has to be treated with the same rigor as any other science.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it means every marketing decision has to be backed by data. You set clear goals. You make every dollar accountable. You test, you measure, you analyze, and you optimize. And this is the hard part, if something isn't working, you have to be willing to kill it, no matter how much you or your team might love it.
I mean, Zyman himself said it best. If an ad doesn't work, pull it. He told a story about Miller Brewing, who were just so in love with these popular ads they had with old athletes. The problem was, they couldn't see what the data was screaming at them. The ads weren't selling beer. They had fallen in love with the activity of marketing, not the results.
So, you might be asking, what's the engine that drives this whole data-driven marketing machine? For Zyman, it all comes down to one critical word: strategy. And this is such a crucial distinction. Think of it this way. Strategy is your big picture game plan. It's your why. Tactics, on the other hand, are the individual moves you make to execute that plan. That's your how. If you don't have a solid strategy, all your tactics, your social media posts, your ads, whatever, are just random noise. They're disconnected actions that won't lead you anywhere.
And that brings us to maybe the most legendary and, frankly, ruthless strategic move in marketing history. So Pepsi launches Crystal Pepsi, and it creates this whole new clear cola category, right? Coca-Cola is totally caught flat-footed. So what does Zyman do? He launches a product called Tab Clear with the explicit purpose of failing. No, really. The whole goal was to poison the well, to make consumers associate the entire clear cola category with diet drinks, which would kill the cool factor for Crystal Pepsi.
And it was brutally effective. Both Crystal Pepsi and Tab Clear were gone from the shelves in about a year. But for Coca-Cola, it was a huge strategic victory.
It was a classic case of losing a small battle to win the war. They successfully neutralized a major threat from their biggest rival. That is the power of strategy.
And really, that's what it all comes back to for Zyman. Every single thing your marketing department does, from your logo to your latest TikTok, has to be a deliberate part of a bigger strategy designed to do one thing: sell more stuff. That's it.
So the final question Zyman really leaves us with is this. Take a hard look at your own marketing. Is it just a bunch of activities, a bunch of noise, or is it a fine-tuned engine that's driving real, measurable results? If this explainer got you thinking, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you next time.